So we've covered emotions. We've covered the change that you want to make. And now it's time to alert the people who are already fans. It's time to figure out how to go back to people after we've already done it once. There are two kinds of marketing, direct marketing and the other kind. Direct marketing means measured marketing where there is no intermediary between you and the customer. The other kind is everything else, billboards, ads, TV ads, etc. The key to direct marketing is to test and measure. Test different things to different people. Measure what works, repeat. Years ago, when I was at Yoyodyne and we were pioneers in online direct marketing, we were averaging a 34% open rate on the emails that we were sending out. And that was unheard of then and impossible now. What we learned along the way is that we should never send everybody the same email. One day, just before I sent an email to 200,000 people who were waiting for it, someone came to me and said, wait, I have an idea for an email. Let's write, how many Microsoft engineers does it take to screw in a light bulb? And then put the punchline in the answer. I said, that's stupid. That will never work. And then I said, but wait, one day I'll be doing a Skillshare class and I could tell this story. So let's go ahead and test it on 5% of the people. So we did, and it did 30% better than our standard. And that was the policy we had from then on, that direct marketers test and measure. That if you have a group of people who like to hear from you, if you have a bunch of people who have opted in, test and measure. Anything you're doing online, websites, for example, it is trivial to change your website so that 1 out of 20 people who see it see something different than everyone else. Test and measure. Once you build a team of people who accepts that there is no defined right answer, so there isn't this pride of I have to prove that I'm right, and instead they are scientists who test and measure, you can transform the way you interact. The opposite of this, which I can't believe I even have to talk about, is cold calling. Cold calling is the desperate maneuver of someone who doesn't have the imagination to make a warm call instead. Cold calling is that email I get every 15 minutes from someone who wants to put a guest post on my blog, even though I've never had a guest post on my blog. Cold calling is that company that pretends to be Google that says they want to sell you a slot in their mapping software. Cold calling is that person who sends you a piece of junk mail, you don't even open it, you just throw it right out. This is a waste of money. The other extreme is to figure out how to sell subscriptions. That what we know is that every magazine, with few exceptions, would be out of business if it depended on newsstand sales. That what we have the opportunity to build, if we choose, is a subscription base. People who pay money to get the next thing you are going to make. That once we subscribe to something, and Netflix is a fabulous example, everything changes. Netflix now makes shows for its subscribers as opposed to finding subscribers for its shows. Once you have this base of people who say, I trust you, here's my credit card, all doors are open. You do not need 1 million of them. You just need enough of them that you can go get more of them. And you start acting as their agent, which gets you to the business of email marketing. Email marketing, which I was there for at the beginning, is really simple. It says, will you give me permission to send you 1 email? And then the email you send is so good, the person wants another one. And over time, bit by bit by bit, people look forward to hearing from you. You educate them. You alert them and change them and educate them and then repeat it. But you probably won't because you have a greedy boss. And the boss will say, send the emails more often. The boss will say, interrupt people more, it's free. Which is why you must measure the open rate. The open rate is what percentage of the people you send an email to read it. I'll tell you a fabulous story about this. 15 or 20 years ago, a company called CD Now was the #1 seller of CDs in the world. They were Amazon's arch enemy. And they were selling more than 1/3 of all of their content, all of their CDs, more than 1/3 through a weekly email. So if you signed up Every week they would send you a note and say, we picked one CD this week. You're going to love it. Click here if you want it. And that did 1/3 of their revenue. And then they went public and they were doing really well. But they needed their math to go up. They needed their numbers to go up because they were a public company. So they started sending 2 emails a week. And when they sent 2 emails a week, revenue went up. So they started sending 3 emails a week and revenue went up. And then they sent 5 emails a week and revenue went down. Because what they hadn't noticed is while they were increasing the frequency of the emails, more and more people weren't opening them. They were training people not to look forward to the email. They were training people not to open the email. And once the email rate went to 0, which is what it did, the open rate went to 0 when they got to 5 a week, they were over, toast, bankrupt. Because they wasted their ability to talk to people. Here's the deal. You can either have diminishing returns or increasing returns. Diminishing returns means that the more I do it, the less I get. The more I send people email, the less I get. Diminishing returns are a huge problem for the marketer. Increasing returns are rare but useful. Increasing returns are what happens when the network effect kicks in. That the more people who use it, the better it works. Increasing returns is what we just saw on the Super Bowl. That the Super Bowl shows up, it's the most watched Super Bowl in history. Why? Because everyone else was watching it. Increasing returns. The more people do something, the more people want to do something. It's the mass market. Mass market means, it used to mean, I can't figure out who's who, so I'm going to market to everyone. Mass market now means, if you're successful at it, everyone wants this because everyone has it. Think about that. That's fashion. That's culture. That's how ideas spread through a population. One way to reach the mass market is retail. What does retail mean? Retail is the opposite of direct marketing. Retail says, I can't sell this to you, but the guy at that store can. And retail brings all sorts of challenges for the marketer because you don't have control, because it costs money, because it takes time. Once you own a section of the store, like Heinz Ketchup, you can do really well for a century. But getting to that spot is expensive and difficult. So you have to, again, make a decision early on. Am I going to invest the time and money to own this thing? And if you're not prepared to invest the time and money, don't even try. Don't even try to go there because the web lets you bypass that. The web lets you talk to a group of people who want to be talked to instead of trying to get through the filter of retailers.